Hi, I'm Kirby Allison, and I'm back here on St. James's Street, about to go visit with my good friend Eddie Sahakian at what many of you know is one of my favorite retail establishments in the world, Davidoff of London. Davidoff of London has famously been described as a bastion of refinement, and whether you're looking to add to your collection of fine cigars or pursue their unrivaled selection of accessories and accoutrements, there is simply no better place in this great city for the discerning cigar aficionado. I'm always absolutely thrilled to return back to this wonderful place to enjoy the company of the Sahakians over a fine cigar. But today is particularly exciting because I have a surprise in store for Eddie.
Well, may I ask you a favor, Kirby? I have never ordered a pure bespoke Savile Row suit in my life. One day I have an ambition to do that, but I would only do that if you would do me the great honor of holding my hand.
Yes, well, I would love to accompany you. We'd have to interview a few first, you know.
Well, I would be entirely guided by you on that, but it would be such a special moment for me.
Well, it would be my great honor, and you know, that would be a fun video one day of going and, you know, seeing, you know, what we can do together. So unbeknownst to Eddie, I've reached out to my good friend Simon Cundey for a little bit of help. So long story short, Simon and I have agreed to make Eddie his very first Pure Bespoke suit, and we're gonna document the entire process for this channel. So join me as I walk inside. I've invited Eddie for a walk down Savile Row. We're gonna pop into Henry Poole, where Simon has pulled some Winston Churchill memorabilia, and then we're gonna surprise him with this incredible news. You know, here we are, Savile Row, you know, one of my favorite places, not just in London, but honestly the world. And what I love about Savile Row is like Jermyn Street, like the Piccadilly Arcade, like St. James's, like Davidoff of London. I mean, your incredible corner. These places you really only find in London. I mean, they are institutions and are so much a part of the rich heritage of this country. And so it's always an honor and a pleasure to be able to, you know, walk down these streets, to be able to film here, of course, and to be able to see the incredible product that they're creating, of course.
Even I dream of this, and I live here.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, and the other thing that I think is incredible about Savile Row is, of course, you find bespoke suits all over the place. You find custom suits, but a bespoke suit from Savile Row still carries a special cachet. You know, much in the same way that a Cuban cigar does amongst, you know, all cigars. And so they've got something here called Pure Bespoke, you know, a term that they've coined to really designate that work that's being done at the highest level, but 100% here on site, on Savile Row. And so I thought it'd be fun. Of course, Henry Poole, Simon Cundey is a good friend of mine. We did the Suit to Shoot series with him.
I watched that. I love that series.
And you know, it was an interesting intersection. He and I were talking, and Winston Churchill was a client of his. And so, again, kind of, you know, our shared kind of mutual interests, you know, in cigars, I thought it'd kind of be fun to pop into Henry Poole, speak with Simon, an opportunity for you to meet him, learn more about what they do. But most importantly, I think, see some of these, you know, some of this memorabilia, if you will.
I would love to see it, and I confess I've never been into Henry Poole. And what you told me about Churchill really excites me.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting. Of course, you know, Churchill was, you know, one of the, what would you call him, the godfather of of Cuban cigars. I mean, he was
the
inseparable from, you know, from the cigar. So, and he was always impeccably well dressed. And of course, all of his clothing was made here on Savile Row.
I can't wait.
Thank you. Simon.
Kirby.
How are you?
Very well.
So nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Nice to see you again. Absolutely.
Allow me to introduce you, Eddie Sahakian.
Eddie.
Simon, an honor to meet you.
It's a pleasure. Likewise to meet you.
Thank you.
Obviously,
Thank you
I've
very
known
much.
your firm for many years. I think so have our customers.
You're very kind. Thank you. And of course, I know of your firm only through infamy and fame.
Yeah, well, it's always a great privilege to be able to introduce two great friends, right?
Yeah.
But also two kind of, really important people just in London and what you do in your own regards, right? Of course, Simon Cundey being Bespoke Suiting, and Eddie, of course, with cigars. But one of the things we were talking, both of us, kind of independently, and one of the things that I find so unique and fascinating is kind of the shared histories that so many of these firms have. And one of them that I think is unique to the two of you is Winston Churchill.
Oh, cool.
Right? Of course, was a client of Henry Poole, and of course is inseparable from cigars. I don't think you guys ever had the privilege of selling him cigars directly, but he's
sadly
his
not.
presence is never missed inside Davidoff of London, and so. You kind of kindly offered to kind of pull some things, and so
I brought some things out, Eddie. You might appreciate it. Obviously, a lot of our customers enjoy time in London. They spend time coming to you. They spend time, enjoying buying from you, and obviously, they come and see us too. So some of those characters I've even brought out for you today to see some of the ledger books, and notably a couple of customers that I know smoked and enjoyed smoking. So come on over and I'll show you.
I'm so excited.
Two fine gentlemen who were big cigar enthusiasts, as you probably are fully aware, but this is obviously Sir Winston Churchill back in, he came to us in 1926, at a young age really, but prolific customer. Really was good friends with my grandfather, Samuel. They really had a good rapport together and ordered many clothes of obviously military style as much as civil style, I suppose you'd say. But most of the photos you see of him wearing clothes, that's all Poole. Yeah. And still today at Chartwell, you'll see his clothes by Henry Poole. Also Blenheim, we have a museum and a piece by Henry Poole there. So it's very much a homage to have his book here with us here today.
Yeah. He would have been smoking cigars, I would imagine, as he came in to the premises and was going through his fittings.
Absolutely. It was always
a different world back then.
As much as I understand it, every time he brought something back, he always found a little stub of a cigar inside the ticket pocket.
Inevitable, yes. And what do you record here? Are you capturing measurements in here, or is it the order itself?
This is the ledger style of the book, where basically you're adding in the items that he orders, the year we did it, the price to it, and where it was delivered to. So you can see Chartwell here, Westerham, Kent. And these are all the items that he did, from pages and pages of suits, sports jackets, dress dinner suits, smoking jackets. They're all very much what Winston had.
How many pages would you?
I think we have about a total of 6 ledger books with 6 entries. Some are literally, 6 pages of clothes. Wow. So it's quite remarkable what he got up to. But he really was quite an innovator with clothes as well. And the structure he put to detail was quite something. So, things like his city suit with a lovely feather weave, with a morning stripe trouser. I mean, that really was a sort of, iconic suit that we all know him to wear today.
Yeah. The siren suit from Turbo and Asser. I mean, he really, he was a man that knew what he liked and then worked with the bespoke artisans of London to have these things created, which is such a testament to the bespoke process. This is one of the things I was describing to Eddie, is how, at this level of pure bespoke, I mean, of course the work is being done at the highest level. It has the provenance of being done on premises. But at the end of the day, I mean, this is such a great testament to what I think represents the zenith of the bespoke experience, which is the depth of the relationship and where you are able to, because of that relationship and just your comfort, begin creating totally one-off unique pieces that are literally tailored to your lifestyle. So whatever the pockets are, or whatever, the small details are about kind of how it is you live your life, you can integrate these into the garments.
Yep, that's the beauty of it. We call it pure bespoke, Eddie. So pure bespoke really is something which was a blank canvas. So when it comes down to button positions, width of lapels, pocketing details, the linings, even the height of lapels and notches, we can actually work that for you. let alone the cloths we can introduce to show you, which performance related. So you can have summer weight, winter weights, you can have travel, as much as it's sort of like, dress wear with velvets and things like that is very much what we do as well.
Yeah. You know, it's extraordinary. For me, the closest equivalent I could draw from my own world would be if someone walked into my store and said, I want exactly this cigar. The flavor, the profile, how long they want to smoke it, the size, the shape, the color, which of course we can't do in the cigar world, but you can do it in this world.
In this world, yeah.
Extraordinary.
Yeah, I must admit, I think I'm getting to know cigars, but I think that the time frame you have, I mean, how you adjust your hour to an hour and a half to 20 minutes just with one cigar, and having the knowledge to know that, and the taste of it must be something you've learnt in your generation.
A little bit of practice.
I like the practice.
Well, there's a certain cachet and a certain provenance to, of course, a Cuban cigar, right? I mean, there's great cigars made all over the world, but there's just something special about a great Cuban. And this is, of course, Davidoff of London, purveyors of the best in the world. But the same is really true from Savile Row, right? Where, you can find great suits from a lot of people, but, there's just a sense of having arrived. If you're able to have, one of the heritage firms doing pure bespoke, make something for you. And, to be able to walk into a place like Henry Poole and to see the books with Winston Churchill, really speaks to just the magnitude of what this is and how it is so much greater than any one person and one experience. And that to me is the romance of London. Yeah,
no, very much. It's like a little club here. You get to see people and see customers that have been here for even generations, just seeing the customer before and now, 3 generations.
Amazing.
Loves clothes, grew up with learning his father's clothes, all coming from a young age to see his father being fitted here. And eventually, when he was about 25, he had his first suit here. And then now he's established, he's doing very successful and still enjoys coming here to order. So this is a generational thing we see in customers. And a lot of his friends are also customers as well. So they come over here, they obviously go to some fine dining, they go and see the shop shoemakers, and obviously that's part of it. And probably will come and see you as well, I'm sure.
Well, and that's another really interesting aspect of the bespoke experience that I find similar to cigars is ultimately a cigar is kind of a commitment to time, to be shared and enjoyed with other people. And the people with whom you share that inevitably makes it an even greater experience. And I think one of the great joys of the bespoke process, of course, is the fact that it is a process. You can develop a relationship with, your cutter, someone like you, Simon. I mean, 3 generations between the example you just gave and your family is amazing. But also amongst friends, like to be able to bring a friend along with you, to kind of enjoy that experience, right? To kind of throw ideas back and forth, I think also elevates that and creates, a better product at the end of the day.
It's that overwhelming sort of trust that you feel, hopefully, when you come here, that the direction you're going to be steered on is a journey to create something for you that really sets a statement and that is not going to be ostentatious to be out there with, but it's going to be very much welcoming. And it takes somebody to make a comment on how well it fits or how comfortable it is for you, that we know then our journey and our product is done. And that's the beauty of it, is that when we hear that, it's a big tick for us. And that's what brings people back, is that the reassurance that they feel at home. They get very close to their cutters, because you will do. It's like a doctor or dentist. He gets to know you. And going forward, you will meet your coat maker, you will meet your trouser maker and your waistcoat maker, because they're all here. This is what makes it special. Again, it's pure side, that we bring this element of Henry Poole. So another gentleman, after Winston Churchill, again, the same sort of dilemmas and periods of time was, of course, the division between Pakistan and India, and 2 great fabulous customers here was Nehru and indeed Muhammad Ali Jinnah. And Ali Jinnah really was a very, very elegant person, very square-shouldered, tall, also enjoyed cigars.
Yes.
And there is his entry here. So this is, again, featured here. 1905, he came to us here and enjoyed very much the sort of clothes from Henry Poole. But as you can see in the photograph here, very much enjoyed cigars. So I can't say he would have been with you in your lovely address in St. James's, but here he is as 2 great people at Henry Poole.
Yeah. Certainly spiritually.
Yes.
I'm very, very touched. Yeah. Beautiful.
Well, these people, I think really, they are, their echoes, can be still heard today. I mean, Winston Churchill And again, one of the things I love so much about London is how, there's just so much intersection between, these different crafts. Tailoring, shirt making, shoe making, cigars, and all these fine kind of accoutrements. And of course, Henry Poole is at the top of that.
Yeah, well, as I say, it's all one area, which is lovely. So we got the street of men's tailoring here and women's as well. Then also we have now St James's, we have German Street. So it really is one little eclectic mix of menswear lifestyle all in one area, which is magical.
That's
magical.
amazing. The suits are incredible.
I have to confess, it's one of my dreams to one day own a true bespoke suit.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you should mention this. On one of our prior videos, you kind of expressed, this similar sentiment of one day maybe, having me help guide you through that process in the same way that you have so generously kind of guided me through the process of really discovering, the beauty of cigars. And so I took the liberty and I reached out to Simon.
No, it's a pleasure. So on that note, I think the best thing is really, Eddie, is, today we start your journey into what we call Pure Bespoke.
Yeah.
How about that?
I don't know what to say. I'm not sure I'm ready for this.
Well, as I say, my first journey of a cigar was a judge down in New Orleans. And this was about 2002. We went off to Dos Jefes and we had pretty much my first cigar with a bourbon. It was magical. So I'm hoping today we go through the style, we go through the fabrics, and we'll go through the measuring, and it'll be your first experience of Henry Poole.
Yeah. So
I can't quite put it into words. I'm lost for once in my life.
Well, it would be such an honor to be able to share this, with a great friend. And again, you've been so generous in all the cigars and everything you've shared with me, and your time and your friendship. And, so to be able to kind of offer you something, that is as special to me as cigars is to you and for both of us, it would be an honor. And I think it would be fun also, of course, for the channel to be able to kind of, document this process of how someone goes through this bespoke journey, completely from scratch, for the first time.
I cannot think of two more wonderful people for that experience for me.
Well,
it's like that.
So
it's
much.
like that Virgin Puff. You should see his video on how to light a cigar. There's something to that first experience. So,
no, I'm happy to do it. Happy to have you on board. Join the mix of customer we have here, which is very special. And as I say, your whole experience of working with the team behind, you'll hopefully enjoy the experience for a long lasting.
I hope I will have more than one entry. I will aspire to that as well. And I hope my children and perhaps my grandchildren will also find their way into your wonderful books.
Make sure Elvis, try to keep him, similar in size.
Perhaps if you do tracksuits.
That's right.
Loose attire. Yeah.
So I took the liberty, Simon and I kind of discussed, right, and we're literally springing this on you right here. So you'll have to, of course, you can go home and think about it. But
there's nothing to think about.
I was thinking that, we were talking that, if one were to have their first bespoke suit made, which this is for you, of kind of where you would begin. And I think especially at a house like Poole, with just the prestige of the piece and of course the durability and longevity that you get from a bespoke product, is to start somewhere that is classic, that has the most amount of versatility, and therefore, if it's the only bespoke suit that you ever end up commissioning, will be something that you'll get the most use out of.
I totally agree. I think for me, there's a classic sort of 5 suits you have, and whether you have sort of pinheads, bird's eyes. In fact, Kirby, we're both bird's eyes today.
Yeah, that's right.
It's quite,
flannel and
a flannel bird's eye and a worsted bird's eye. So this is the same design with the 2 different finishes, but it just shows you the mix we can have in here. You're wearing a beautiful Prince of Wales check with overcheck. This is a sort of something which we could do. There's also other designs with stripes, but I think the plain or some description with a nice texture to it, maybe 11 ounce, which is pretty much an all year round weight here to start with. It gives you the durability, it gives you the lifespan, certainly from 10 to 15 years, depending how you wear it, even 20, 30 years, depending what it is. But that's typically what we look for in the first suit. And then as we construct it, we can go through the style and how you want it, but something classic, timeless, and something you'll feel comfortable and reassured that you're feeling part of a balanced suit that really Henry Poole has had for over 200 years to all the customers.
Incredible. Yeah. Well, can you pull some books?
Let's pull some books.
I am in your hands, putty, so to speak.
No. Well, let's go.
Well, this is where the fun begins.
Now. Yeah. So let's go and choose some books. So, again, we're going to areas of the world, areas of the UK. So, behind me here is about sort of 6,000 fabrics, all from parts of the UK. So we start off from obviously the islands, such as Harris, Shetland, moving on to the Highlands of Scotland, the Lowlands of Scotland, moving down to the West Country for the lovely worsted tweeds or worsted wools, and then moving further south we go into the West Country for flannels. So I think we're going to go to more the Yorkshire side, and we're going to put some nice worsteds, and we'll show you some fine worsteds from this region.
Yeah. Proper English suit.
Proper English suit.
Well, may I ask something? Is that typically where your cloth is sourced, or international now?
International. So I must say we have obviously the lovely region of Biella, which is the Italian cloths.
Yes.
Also very nice fabrics too. Their designs are exquisite. And it's also a lovely richness to it as well. Like their flannels are very soft. But I think the thing is that the durability of the worsted flannels are stronger, and also the worsted wools, the fine worsteds, are long-term structures, shall we say. Gives you a little bit of armour.
Wonderful.
But we'll do that. I'll do that.
Yeah, and Eddie, this is one of the great virtues of Bespoke, is the fact that you have access to, as you said, 6,000 fabrics, right? And so, the hands of a skilled, tailor, like Simon, right? Who really knows and understands the cloth. I mean, when we're talking an incredible library, right? That one dedicates their life to understanding. They're able to take that knowledge of their cloth and their understanding of you as a client, and blend those together to make specific recommendations that, in my experience, have always been much better than anything I could have come up with myself.
And may I ask, the cloth you have, do you keep an archive or a stock of all this cloth to use when needed, or would you go and source it if a client needs one?
Yes, so obviously we deal with merchants.
Yes.
These are all merchants. And under our holding bay in their big, basically warehouses, are these bolts. And they will source from different mills the different finishes to how they want to have their collection. So each house here will have basically a different tier level of fabric. So whether it's a super light summer weight, whether it's a super light luxury weight, these flannels or worsteds are through these houses here. Linens, Donegals, they're all under these various houses. And it's their collection that we have every 6 months. The new collections are coming out. And some are staple fabrics that exist now for 20, 30 years. So, the joy is like a bird's eye like this. I can go back to this house, and in 20 years' time, this fabric is still being made. So if a repair needs done, or if another pair of trousers are made, there's a high chance you can get the pair of trousers. So these houses are really like, sort of the Bible, some of them, of fabrics and worsted quality wools. And their technology, their patience in making bolts of cloth is very much a sort of a time factor that's shown that keeping one or two fabrics of a certain, it's almost like a ingredient of how it's made, and remaining to have it is worked well, because a lot of customers want the repeat business on those fabrics. So some are timeless and really stand the test of time. Some are yearly, where it's a certain design and a sports jacket that it will last for a year, and that's it. It was discontinued, another one comes out. But we have the blessing to see it all here every year.
So if I translate this into my world, this is the very high quality leaves that are ultimately going to be making the cigar. And perhaps you are beginning to, in my eyes, appear like the master blender, who's pulling them together to create the extraordinary cigar.
So that's the knowledge that we have. I mean, our knowledge, I'm now, 30 years of knowledge, going from mills. I worked in mills. I've been in Scotland. I've been in Yorkshire. I've been in the West Country. I can see and difference and feel, and this, just being there and the smell is just incredible. I'm sure, like, tobacco is as well. They're all different. But we've now come to a point where, we can narrow it down pretty much within, an area where I know that you'll be happy to enjoy. And it's a bit like your cigar. You would know that gentleman wants that longevity, he wants that taste, he wants that texture, and that's the same here.
Yeah.
So let's pull off some ones.
So, I'm in your hands.
Yeah, so let's go to, I think we'll go Premier Cru, which is a nice, beautiful, balanced fabric. It's 11 ounce. That's a good little one here. And I think we'll go to also a little harder finish, which is going to be the 10 ounce, 11 ounce in a harder finish. So we can examine that. We've also got some other ones. Again, West Country 11 ounce blue ribbon, very nice too at 11 ounce. And then we'll also have a little softer finish in the 910. So let's bring these to the table.
So may I ask, when you mention 10 or 11 ounce, what is that actually measuring?
So we're talking about the weight on how the suit will feel on you. So if I feel here, this one, this is very much, again, about a 10, 11 ounce, but a flannel finish. You've got a lovely milled finish surface to it. These ones are very much more the clear cut finish, but the hard finish. And there's little softer ones here as well that gives you a bit of both.
Yes.
You're wearing much the same with a nice clear cut finish with a bird's eye. And here's my version of it with a more milled finish flannel version. Now, the joy is that, Kirby's suit here will hold its press, will be last, it will go on a journey, it will get out of the journey, it will look presentable. With our suits, the flannel suits are a little softer.
Yes.
So the durability in the crease on the trouser won't last as long as the high tense worsted. So the worsted wools we will go for typically as a first 5 suits in your wardrobe. We then venture out. Yeah, would be the worsted. Yeah. And then you would venture out into, your flannels, your softer yarns, the 120s, the 150s, the 180s. They are really luxury yarns, but you have to treat them luxury. You can't, treat them with the sort of, jumping on a plane for 12 hours and expect it to hold its shape. So it's really the practicality side we seek with a customer to see how his lifestyle is going to be with it.
Well, there's a certain durability, right? And I guess one of the parallels would be, kind of the strength of a cigar. Is it light-bodied, medium-bodied, or strong, full-bodied, right? That's what a master blender is kind of doing. And the same way that Simon is kind of helping us kind of find the right fabric. But with weight, you have durability. The heavier weight it is, the stronger and more durable the cloth is. It may not have the finesse of hand, that a Super 150 or 180 might, but it's going to also ensure that it's a suit that's a workhorse and can last for 30 years. The other thing that's nice is that the heavier weight the cloth, the more weight there is to it, literally, and the more beautifully it drapes, which is one of the characteristics of a pure bespoke suit, is the way it just drapes on the body. There's a beauty and there's an elegance. And, it's sculpture, right? And that you kind of have to give, the master tailor something to work with that he can, that drapes and holds weight and holds its crease. And so there's the benefit there. And then, of course, in London, on a day like today where it's quite cold, the heavier weight cloths, especially for this climate, will ensure that it's providing you that warmth that you need over a lighter weight cloth.
Yeah. And I take it that looking at Eddie, you tend to wear 3-piece as well.
Yes, it's a recent development in my own wardrobe, and that's driven by my father, who's always impeccable in the 3-piece.
Oh, right, okay.
And he's inspired me, and as I've aged, I find also the extra cushioning around here helps.
Well, for me, I think it's great because it gives you that extra warmth. If you need it, you can drop it and be as 2-piece if you wish it on a warm day. And it's just a nice, elegant way that if you take the jacket off, you still feel fully dressed, having actually a waistcoat on. So I'm a big fan of 3-piece, and that also gives you a chance to not go too heavy with fabrics. So it's not heavy to wear, but you have the warmth if you need it. This, I think, going from around 10 ounces, 10, 11, gives you that feel where it can give you a bit of a springtime, summer and fall suit all the way through. So that's why I think rather than hitting the 13, the 14 on the winter weights, the 8, 9, which is the summer weights here and also in the Americas, the durability will be less as well. So I think the 11, 12.
Yeah, that 10 to 12 is kind of like the sweet spot where you've got enough weight that you're going to get drape. It's got enough body that's going to offer you the durability. It's not so heavy that you couldn't wear it all year if you wanted to, right? It's not so light that, again, you couldn't do the same as well. And so, I think, of course, it's a great recommendation. So,
this is the kind of conversation we'll have when we get back to cigars, because you'll be saying to me, this is this, this is that, and all the rest of it. So I'll be learning that thing too. So let's have a look. So here we have, I'm going to move things around a bit here. So we have let's move this here. There we are. So this is obviously just 4 bunches, which gives you that 9 tenner weight. And I'm going to show you a little bit between them here. So if we flip a coin here, we flip the book open, you'll see a texture here. And if you put your hand there, Eddie, you'll feel that lovely coolness and little softness to it. Okay, and that's a 9/10 ounce, 120s with a little sprinkle of cashmere. And you don't want to go too much on the cashmere. Between a sort of like a 10% and 1% is absolutely fine. But the 120s gives you that lovely little softness to it.
Gorgeous. Okay? It's almost silky, even though I know there's no silk there. Yeah.
Good comparison. So the next one is a dry finish, harder wearing, but a little bit coarser to hand. This also available in various finishes. So again, we can move it into a mid-grey. Now feel that dryness. Do you see that texture?
Yes, I know exactly what you mean. The dryness on the fingers. You know, again, I compare it to cigars when we touch the wrapper leaf of a cigar that's well humidified versus one that's perhaps a little drier, a little coarser. Not coarse, that's not the right word, but less moisture in there for sure.
Crispy.
Crispy finish.
Yes, yes.
Crispy finish. So we're going in between now. So the blue ribbon is very much in between. So you got there the hundreds again, but you're getting a lovely finish that gives you a workhorse but feels nice. So this is a good house as well. To go with where it's your first suit, it's a lovely one to work with. Very popular with us too, this kind of quality. They're all popular, but it gives you the edge of really the first 5 suits you want to work with in your wardrobe.
Yeah. And my understanding when you say 100, it's the
lower the count, the harder the finish. Higher the count, softer the yarn, more luxurious the fabric is.
Yeah, understood.
And the count, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a reference to how many yarns that you can fit in an inch of fabric.
That's right, yarns per
and so
per inch.
The lower the count, right, the thicker the yarn would be.
Got it.
And the higher the count, the thinner it is.
That's right.
You know, and that finesse, right, is what creates that soft hand, but it's also what creates something that doesn't have the durability and could be fragile, depending on just how.
So picks per inch, that's your picks per yarn. And that's basically the yarn count there. That's one of your yarns there. And you can see how some are springy and some are not so springy. So the high twist gives you the actual recovery, and the softer yarns is just basically straight returns and not so springy, luxurious.
I still find myself overwhelmed by cloth.
Yes.
Like, you know.
I love it. Every year the new fabrics come out, and we're always excited with some of the houses bring out some lovely new jacketings or suitings and blends. You know, recently we've had linen, silk and wool blends and jacketings and suitings, which are so good for summer now, rather than just a pure linen, which is good. Now this, I think, is probably the pinnacle point where it comes down to the all-rounder. I think the Premier Cru for me has always been a great fabric. You've got a lovely, again, 100s with a little sprinkle of cashmere. It gives you a good range to play with. You've got a lovely array of fabrics where you've got not only a clear-cut finish, but you've also got mill finishes. So mill finishes is a little bit like this as well. So again, going through here, your popular ones, we've got little classics of very discreet Prince of Wales checks in greys. You've got them in blues. And then we move on to the pick and picks. We spoke about those as your classic suits to wear for every occasion. You can mix up with bold shirts, bold ties. There's no over checks. There's no colourways or design in it. So after doing the Prince of Wales, the pick and picks, you then got on to what we call the window checks. Now these are very much a bolder finish, very quite, spot your suit. The joy is that I would build your wardrobe first before having something like this. This is very much a sort of wearing that suit again. It's that kind of feel. So you want to keep it a neutral sort of finish. And then we move into very much the bird's eyes, which we're both wearing today, which you can get in blue and grey. And here's a blue one. Again, standard, beautiful suits, timeless to have. And then we move into things like herringbones, which are lovely finishes, the dressy and evening and daytime, and you can enjoy many of those as well. So the thought process really is the colourways we go for, typically to start with, is greys and blues. Your thoughts, Eddie? What's your...
Well, like someone entering my cigar shop saying, what do you recommend? I truthfully don't know where to begin, and I would defer very much to Kirby. Any suggestions you might have for the right first suit?
Yeah, I mean, I think back to kind of what Simon was saying. I mean, my goal for this, if it were me, would be something as classic and as versatile as possible. And inevitably, that's going to be your navies and your grays, right? And within that, there's some choices in terms of how dark, how light. I think if you get too far on either side, like you narrow the versatility. So that's what I would say is, I mean, you know, between gray and navy, is there one kind of color you find yourself pulled to?
I like both, but I get drawn to gray, and that's happened, I think, as my hair has progressed in its grayness. It may not last forever when I lose my hair, but...
So the wisdom has pulled you towards the grays.
I think I'm slightly towards grey, if you think that's a good choice.
I think gray's a great color.
Yeah. Right. The joy with grey is you can mix it up into a dressy black shoe. Yeah. You can dress it down with a brown shoe. Yeah. So you get your versatility of the look you want to give. You know, like you're wearing today with a blue shirt, you can make it a little bit more relaxed. You can dress it with a white shirt, make it more impact for the evening. So let's look at some greys. We've got bird's eyes, as we're both wearing.
Wear them to weddings, funerals. I mean, like again, gray's probably even. Would you say, Simon, that gray is a touch more versatile than even navy?
I think so. I think grey would be. I think also if you go into the longevity of a suit, I think if we maybe, you know, stripes, grey stripes is more businessy for me. I wouldn't think we're going to be doing that. You're very much involving customers around you and enjoying the time. But stripes are good, but as I say, they're quite a strong impact for people.
When I visit the bank manager, perhaps.
We will have to do that at some point. So yeah, that's when you go out there. So the other version is like a herringbone, and I think that's always quite nice. As you get a herringbone.
Well, what is the herringbone finish?
Well, that's basically a strength of a herringbone, gives a fishbone effect. So it goes up and down with a. I'm just trying to find one here. So.
Yeah. And what I like about herringbone is that
here we go. There we are.
It gives you a little bit of visual texture, right, over and above a solid. So at a distance, something like this will appear as a solid suit.
Right.
But whenever you come up close, you've got visual texture. And coincidentally, my first bespoke suit was a dark gray kind of charcoal herringbone. And I have to say, I got so much use out of that. So, I mean, this is, without question, kind of where I would steer you. And then here you've got a choice, you know, dark charcoal or kind of a proper mid-gray. And I think, you know, Eddie, as I look to you, you know, you're in the shop. I mean, it's a hospitality, you know, role that you're in, welcoming people in and guiding them through. I don't think you need something quite as formal as a dark charcoal, which if you were in the office, right, and going out to formal dinners, I'd say, you know, go with the dark charcoal.
Yes.
And then with your, you know, lighter kind of, you know, complexion, I think that this mid-gray, you know, would be a fantastic consideration.
Oh, well, my eyes are very much drawn to that.
Yeah, now that to me also, Eddie, is a very good colorway to use. So we
Smile.
we normally would just put it on the actual armor, so that gives you a bit of a feel for it. But it is also important to get the color shade of your skin tone and all the rest of it as well. But that gives you a very neutral feel to a suit. It gives you a day and evening. It gives you a very not so empowering suit, but a very much welcoming suit.
Yes.
And that's the neutral thing about it.
Yeah. It looks beautiful. I've absolutely fallen in love with this.
Yeah, there's a subtle elegance to this. And again, you know, and it's not a very bold or strong herringbone, because there's also different widths of the herringbone you can have. So the wider it is, the stronger and bolder it's going to be. This is, again, this is an incredibly elegant. It's something I could see on you. It's something that I'd see your father wearing.
Oh, yes. Yes, I think he's got a brown herringbone now that I understand what it is. This would be a wool and a little bit of cashmere in there?
Yes, a little sprinkle of cashmere. So
sprinkle of cashmere.
Yeah, a little sprinkle. You know, you don't need too much cashmere, but it is a nice little touch there.
Yeah.
You can feel again the coolness of this fabric. Unlike the hard, dry finishes, it is very much a practical fabric, but also feels nice. So you want, you know, at the end of the day, you want someone to appreciate the fabric. This is quite a dry finish compared even to this one.
Absolutely.
So,
and compared to this, I mean, this is
bit
much softer. It's still quite dry.
Well, that looks beautiful, and I suspect Mrs. Sahakian will appreciate it too.
Yes.
Keep me in her good books, I hope.
That's it.
She'll have a hard time keeping her hands off of this.
Let's keep it just her, right?
I love this. I love this. If you agree, I would be wholeheartedly happy with that. And honored to see a suit like this.
I did my first fabric. It didn't have that sprinkle of cashmere. So this is, I mean, you know, a real touch of magic there. And it's one of the things I love about the, you know, the newer cloths is they're able to just put a little bit in.
Yeah, no, it's a small amount, but it tells the detail. And I think that, you know, over the years, your knowledge of fabrics has grown as well, so you know how well that performs as well.
Yeah,
so
this will be incredible.
All worlds on this.
And what's the weight of this?
This is coming under 11 ounces.
11 ounces, yeah. So it's perfect.
And would it be a 100 or
a 100?
A 100.
100s in cashmere.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Great.
Well, let's get these out of the way.
Well, you made that so easy.
Well, we're not done yet, though.
No.
I mean, it's like,
this is where it all starts. So that really is now your fabric, and this will now be acknowledged in the book. And we go down now with the styles and go through the details. So
we have a page for you right here, Ed.
Yeah, sadly, it's not quite these size of books these days. Great.
Yeah. So we've chosen the fabric, and the next would be kind of the styling.
The styling. So we'll go through the options now on paper with you on single-breasted, three-piece, you know, the pocketing details, button 1, button 2, button 3, pocket slanted, straight, pleats, the trouser, slim, pleated, whatever you wish. That's the kind of thing.
Again, I mean, I know we've talked about it already, and I would love to just basically say, you know, I'm in your hands.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you recommend?
Yeah. Well, why don't you grab?
I'll grab a little.
Grab a sheet
and we'll go through details.
Because this is where it really gets fun.
Yes.
Is because, you know, I mean, you can do anything you want, which can be overwhelming. And this is what Simon is for. But you know, as we get into some of the details, you'll have, of course, an opinion, and that kind of back and forth between you and you know, a tailor like Simon is really kind of what produces that incredible, unique, and totally bespoke product that is how you wanted it. But, you know, deferring a little bit to the tailor because, you know, I find that they add so much, you know, to the process.
So obviously, we spoke about the three-piece. I think, Eddie, that's a great start. It's a timeless piece. I think the balance of it for you is perfect. I think we go through the style of it. So I think we'll do the single-breasted, we said.
Wonderful, yes.
And how many buttons would you like? Now, you're wearing 3 today. Do you want to do that again?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's quite versatile. Well, what do you think?
Well, I think it goes beautifully with what we're wearing today. This is, in fact, button 2. In fact, this is...
Is this a 3 button? Or is
no, that's button 2.
Yeah, this is a...
Yeah.
I mean, I would normally go for a 2 button.
2, yeah.
2 button, then.
I think it's going to be more... giving you more
classically
options.
English.
Yeah, and it gives you, certainly without wearing the waistcoat, it makes it more daytime sort of suit. So I think we'll do 2.
Wonderful.
Okay. Now we speak about the lapel, because obviously you can have what's called a peak lapel, like I'm wearing today, or indeed a notch lapel. And Kirby has a notch lapel, I have a peak lapel. So that's your thought on that.
I don't have a strong view on that. I would very much like to really be in what you think best represents Henry Poole.
I think a timeless piece would probably be the notch lapel. I think this is very much a now factor, and it has been for around 12, 15 years. But however, a good suit for 30 years should be a notch. What do you think, Kirby?
Yeah, I think, you know, most traditionally, notch lapel is what one would associate with a single-breasted jacket. You'd never have to worry about it coming in and out of favor.
That's true.
And again, there's just a balanced elegance to a notch lapel, you know, that, you know, is soft. Yeah. So I would go with the notch too.
Notch it is.
Perfect.
Okay. Now, there's some things which are quite natural to suits. Of course, out breast pocket, we definitely want to have that. Again, you get your lovely boutonniere with us, so we have a little flower loop at the back of our lapels as well. So this was really for your stem of your flower that used to be in, but a lot of people make use of it to put loop things onto as well. So that's another thing.
Please.
The vents, the trousers, the actual pocketing details on the side, you can have actually slanted pockets, straight pockets. This is another big question, really. I think, you know, I certainly would probably maybe go slanted for being a London suit, being a Henry Poole suit. I don't know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a strong opinion. I mean, I think, you know, if I were in Eddie's position, I would want something that is kind of iconically Poole. And so if you think the slant pocket is something that does that, then I would go with it.
Very much.
Perfect.
It's also one of those bespoke details you don't see very often on made-to-measure suits or off-the-rack stuff.
Of course, things like 4-button cuffs. We typically could do all working buttons. I noticed you have a military style here.
Yes.
So we could do that, but I think keeping it more traditional would be the 4 working buttons.
I very much agree, yeah.
Poole has always done 2-hole buttons as well, not 4-hole, and natural horn buttons as well. They're naturally horn. So they actually are a start with a dull start, and the more you use them, actually the shine comes together. So it's quite a nice feature too. So that's, again, 4 there. Again, big question really would be the vents at the back. I definitely think 2 vents is a good way to go. Yeah, exactly.
Quintessentially English. It's just more elegant whenever you sit down. You kind of throw the vents back.
We had a gentleman from Detroit and the car industry, and he always said double exhaust or single exhaust, and that's how he put his vents. You know, so he always said, "I'm going to do this one double exhaust." That's how he did it. But it's quite a character. Now the interiors is the fun part, Eddie, because that's something for you as well. So I certainly recommend 2 at the top here. 1, 2. You carry a pen?
I do, yes. So I carry a pen. I also have a special request, if it can be accommodated, which is somewhere to put a cigar or 2, perhaps a little special pocket. Are you able to do
like that? I mean, that's the beauty of Bespoke. We carry many things you can imagine. We had musicians with 2 harmonicas once, that harmonica on the other side here. But typically for our dinner suits, a lot of the time we do lovely, we're famed for making the tuxedo, of course, inventing the tuxedo with Edward Descendants and Henry Poole. But that's another thing here. But we actually generate what we call the cigar pocket for you and a friend.
Yes.
And it really is a longer pocket at the bottom here, divided with a divider in it for 2 tubes. So one for yourself and one for your friend.
I would love that. So this is a Davidoff number 2 size tube. It might be slightly thicker, but not much.
Family cigar.
This we can accommodate.
So would you want something specifically for like a number 2? Because they can also change the width to ensure that it just perfectly accommodates this, or...
I think a little bit more accommodation in case either I don't have the number 2 at hand or perhaps my taste changes over time.
Okay.
A little bit more size perhaps, but not much more.
We can do that. We can accommodate the width with a divider with various tubes. The width obviously tends to be a maximum about 8 inches.
That's fine.
So, but we can do it.
So
how deep would you want them? Would you want them to go all the way and disappear into the pocket?
No, I think we need to have a little bit of a stand up. Maybe just showing off a little bit of a 3/8, maybe just to give you a little
something
like that. But maybe a little bit more. I think we might really want the sort of 3/8. I think if we can get that depth.
And if it's a short cigar, perhaps something that would allow me to slip my fingers in and pull it out if it's shorter. So just a little bit of give there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
And these are all the details, right? I mean, you could to give the precise dimensions of that pocket. Because one of the things on my jackets that I like is I keep a phone here. And so if the pocket is cut too wide, the phone falls over. So having it cut narrow enough so that the phone kind of stands upright and it's not so deep that I'm having to like dig into my jacket pocket in order to fish it out. Right? So these are kind of all the small things that maybe over the years with ready to wear annoy you, right? That can all be incorporated into a garment
and repeated in it. So in the end of the day, a lot of gents like to repeat the same thing. Their natural movements would be, business card, cell phone, wallet. It's all that everyday system. So anything you carry, cutters. Do you have maybe a cutter or something?
Yeah. So I tend to use the little side pockets here. I don't know what you call them. I've got a cutter here. I have one suit, I believe, which has on both sides these little pockets because I sometimes use them for business cards as well.
That's it. Okay. So let's do one side for your. We'll do for the tubes. And on the other side, we'll do for your cutters. And we'll keep it that way. And then you always would go to the same position, and that will repeat itself on the orders in the future. So
a thought or a question, Simon. With my telephone, I tend to, when I put it in my breast pocket, I tend to put it on my right side because of some, I don't know why, my wife was worried there would be some interaction with my heart and the electromagnetic. No, I don't think it's true, but that's become a habit. It tends to go on the right side. Is there a way to make that work?
Well, that's the question then, because what's really important in wearing suits is to try and balance up either side. So don't carry wallets, phones on one side. You really want to carry the wallet one side, the phone on the other side. So that's how I personally would keep wallet this side, phone this side.
I'm pleased to report I never carry a wallet.
You sound like the Roll family.
Just a few cards and some paper money, but never in a wallet. So I find it too bulky for me.
Well, then I think, I don't personally, I think maybe we have the, obviously on this side would be your phone, is that right? And on this side, we should really maybe put the tubes on this side then, so we balance up the coat. So I think if we put the tubes on the left side.
Do you think the cutter would be heavier
Yes, on this side, yeah. Okay, yeah,
maybe the
you're
tubes
right.
on that side.
Yeah, yeah.
And the other benefit of carrying the pocket here is you can put a pocket square on the other jacket, and that kind of
balance it out.
balances
Okay,
it out.
let's do that then. So we'll do that. So the linings, we'll show you some of the linings in the fitting room, which is a lovely way to, because really with the linings, it tells a lot about the suit. You can tell all about the interiors. You don't have to go too crazy. Just keep it a little calm for the first suit, which I think is the best thing. So we can do that in the fitting room.
Wonderful.
And then with the waistcoats, it's fairly standard. Obviously, you love the idea of your little lapel here. This is very, very, very nice. And then I think I noticed you got button 4 here, or button 6 rather. We might give you actually brace trousers a little bit higher. We can actually have the 5+1, which is very traditional, a nice little thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I noticed you obviously got the chain watch here, so you must be wearing a chain watch. So.
Eventually.
Well, we'll give you that as well.
Wonderful.
So if we put that down as very much a classic sort of waistcoat, 4 pockets with the lapel. Does that sound good?
Perfect.
And then the brace trouser gives it a lovely height, elevates, and obviously gives you a lovely shape to work with as well. Very comfortable.
Wonderful.
Is that good?
That sounds perfect.
Lovely.
Do you wear braces?
Yes.
Yeah. So we could cut them for braces.
Full brace. Yeah.
And then would you do pleats? 'Cause these don't seem to be pleated, are they?
I'm not a fan of pleats. I think
You're not a fan of pleats.
I'm not a fan of pleats in terms of, basically Eddie likes a slimmer look on certainly the cuff here. I think we can go a little bit. This is a little bit slightly slimmer for my liking. I would go a little bit wider.
Okay.
And then just keep it nice and narrow, fairly at the top as well.
Clean, no pleats.
No pleats. Yeah.
Right. I think my wife likes that as well.
I think yes, exactly. It wouldn't surprise. A lot of women like to have the slimmer look these days, so we go with that.
Yes.
Right, so put it down.
Cuffed or uncuffed?
I think we should do. That's up to you, Eddie. We can do cuffs on, and we'll take them
You mean
the bottom?
turn-ups, yeah.
I would do straight. I wouldn't normally do a turn-up, I think, for these. Yeah.
Lovely. Perfect. Great. I'll go that down. So let's come through and we'll go for the measure.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Okay. After you, Eddie. We're going to go straight down there on the left side.
Yeah, thank you. Well, that's always fun, the measurements.
That's extraordinary.
Pretty painless, isn't it?
Yes.
Better than going to your doctor or dentist.
That's right. That's
Far
right.
better.
But no, it's all those measurements are done now. It's about 25, 30 measurements there that go into measuring the body. And frankly, now it gets basically cut into your own personal pattern. The cloth will be arriving. We'll be cutting it and then giving it to the coat makers to start your coat, your trouser and your waistcoat. So in about sort of a few weeks' time, a little bit of time, you'll be back here for your first fitting.
Yeah.
I'm in no hurry. I'm entirely in your hands. Thank you for the honour.
It's like having a cigar. You've got to enjoy the moment.
Yeah, savor it for sure. And you have of course, the benefit of being in London. You can pop in and see the progress.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Simon. What an honour and pleasure for me.
Pleasure, Eddie.
Simon, hey, thank you so much.
Come on, Kirby, always a pleasure.
We're in great hands, and it's so exciting to be able to welcome, Eddie, of course, into the fraternity Poole clients.
Yeah. It will be similar to these books, but a little bit more computerized.
Yeah.